Hey everybody, it's Bob again, and this time I'm going to be talking about Hellshock number 3. I am going to do the complete series, and this book really starts to put a lot of stuff together, and the artwork is amazing, except for the horrible computer flames and some of the coloring and such, or as we can see here with this cover. I believe these are supposed to be angel wings that were torn from somebody's back. I don't know if this is Jay Lee doing this in a computer, and he's trying to do the graphic design or whatever. I don't know, but again, to me, this one it kind of fails. I'd probably much rather see some of Jay Lee's actual artwork on a page. Um, but I mean, it is eye catching, But uh, it just gives me that impression of that early '90s CGI from such movies as like Lawnmower Man and such. Um, yeah. So anyway, we are going to pick up where we left off, where Isabel is in her bathroom, where she was hearing the voice of the angel that she met 20 years prior, who is the father of her child. And as we can see here, he is bursting through this mirror and coming into the real world. We can see that his wings were torn off. Uh, he had these, gaping red infected wounds here. It looks like this artwork, by the way, this is amazing. The detail and everything that's on here is just great. Um, she's, in a state of disbelief because she's like, you're not him. You're not my angel. My angel had wings. And he's like, wings aren't real popular in hell. So they were torn off or whatever. And she's like, no, you can't be him because, if you look at him here, he's for 20 years, which in hell is probably, hundreds or thousands of years. He's been enduring massive torment and, being tortured and everything by other demons. He does not look like the pretty angel she would have known from 20 years ago. So she doesn't believe that it's him, and she runs out in terror because we can see his face here, right? Like, you know, it's it's a scary thing. He looks more demonic now than what he was, even though he's like professing his love for her. But it doesn't really look like that here, right? He's like, hell couldn't keep us apart. Nothing, no one can keep us apart ever again. And she's just like, no, 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 it can't be him. And as we remember from the last issue, this angel had taken, um, I'm not sure they've ever said his name. Um, yeah, no, okay, no, his name is Daniel. That's it, because I'm getting it confused with somebody else. So his name is Daniel, um, or Hellshock, and this angel has taken him to a place that's like between heaven and earth, and he's just like, I've been shot in the head. Why won't you let me die? And this angel's like, dying is not what we have planned for you. Dying is for humans, and you are not a human. Um, where they she basically tells him what he is. You are the bastard child of one of our own. Um, if you are to confront the one who sired you, and you will before this night is through, you must be prepared. So basically, that's what's happening now, is that they knew that this angel was coming back from hell, and I guess now they're going to take this person and use him as the tool that will send that angel back to hell. We cut to the police precinct, okay? And we have Danica Haight, who apparently checked himself out of the hospital and only has a small band-aid to show for the beating that he took. Um, but he is talking to one of the police officers that was involved earlier at the church shooting, or who had shown up for that when he called in a report. And he's like, that guy that I saw earlier that I said I shot is probably the same guy who killed this priest. Um, and, he's like, well, again, there was nobody there. According to you, you shot this guy between the eyes, but when we came there was nothing there. Um, And he's like, next you'll be telling me I didn't see the Mother Superior at the hospital, that she didn't tell me to investigate the priest's connection to that little boy. It's like, okay, come on. If you shot this guy in the head, that guy's not there, do you really expect these police officers to be like, hey, you're saying that you shot this guy, but he's not there, so yeah, they're going to think that you're mistaken, okay? But having this, nun show up to the hospital, I think that's a pretty believable thing. But, this guy was probably drugged up in the hospital on painkillers or something like that. Who knows? All I'm stating is, it seems like a weird thing to bring up when you have one that's easily unbelievable and then one that's easily believable, and to put those two in the same context. But this guy also says, speaking of what went down, we tried to get a hold of your boy. And Danica's like, and he's like, he wasn't there. I didn't want to worry you earlier, but the guy said the door was smashed in, handprints all over the window. He's like, kids, I'm sure the little fucker's fine. What? Okay. Again, I don't think that Jay Lee was the best writer. I think he had a great idea here. It's something that I liked. I like most of this, okay? Especially with the artwork. The artwork is definitely telling, a better story than the words are. We're hearing now that the kid Josh is probably his kid. Somebody was trying to get to Josh. Yeah, but this police officer's like, your door was bashed in, and we did not look into that. And we're police officers, and we didn't want to worry you, another police officer, while you were in the hospital, so we didn't tell you about the potential abduction of your child. And this guy's like, whatever, fucker's probably fine. I didn't give two shits anyway. Let somebody else take care of him or something like that. I don't know. This whole page is ridiculous in every direction. The dialogue is horrible. The artwork is great. Of course the artwork's going to be great. But I think it would have been best if Jay Lee had hired a writer. Okay, so I've said this before, I think, in maybe another video or something. At this point, I have over 100 videos out. So who knows what video it was. But as a comic book artist, we can write a comic, whereas a writer can't draw a comic, right? So that's a thing. And I know that this is what Image was. Image was like, we could break away from these writers. We could do what we want to do. We can produce the products that we want to produce. And in some cases it worked. In some cases it didn't. Unfortunately, in this case, when you have artwork this good and writing this bad, you're getting kind of a 5 out of 10 product, right? Which, to me is like the worst that you could say with something. Because at least if it was like the worst comic ever made, you still get fun out of it by bitching about it. You know what I mean? We all do this thing with Liefeld, but I see the appeal of Liefeld because, it's fun to tear his stuff apart because it's almost like he does it on purpose in order for that to happen. This one, I don't know. It's just not working when it comes to that. So we are going to cut to this kid Josh, right? Now the dialogue from that, from Danik, he was like, the little fucker's probably fine. He's probably just over at a friend's house, right? Yeah, that's sure. If police literally showed up at my apartment and was like, yeah, again, your door was bashed in, we saw bloody handprints everywhere. And he's probably with a friend. Yeah, it's what it is. My parents probably would have said the same thing. Whatever. So anyway, this kid, Evan, who looks just like Josh, is taking Josh up, I guess, to his bedroom, right? And they open the door, but we don't get to see inside. And Evan's like, go ahead, man. Go ahead and make yourself at home. And Josh is just like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm a little scared. But that's all we get, okay? We just get that. It's leading up to something, right? And then we come back to the angel who was talking to Daniel, okay? And it's weird because, again, we're getting little things here, but it's just word bubbles of Daniel and this angel communicating, not, with this girl. So she's telling the story that we already got from issue number 2. Okay, she's like, before you know where you're going, it is important for you to understand at least where you come from. Just over 20 years ago, as you measure time, there was a young woman named Isabel. Like many souls of her tender age, she yearned for something more, praying for a connection with a love greater than herself. Unlike most, however, her prayers were answered. One night, the archangel Jonakind came to her, showed himself to her, okay, called to her, embraced her, seduced her. And then we see Daniel here, who still has a hole in his head. And he's like, so some angel copped some flesh from a teenage girl 20 years ago. What the hell does that have to do with me? And the angel's like, I think you know what that has to do with you. So obviously he is the product of this angel and this young girl, okay? Now we cut to the police station again. There's no telling how much time has passed, okay? She ran out of her bathroom, and then I guess she ran straight to the police precinct, but somehow missed the officer who was dealing with this, so he wasn't involved with this questioning or anything like that. But basically, she's telling them that this angel who was condemned to hell has come back to Earth in order to, take her or be with her again. And they're, she's just like, you don't believe me? And he's like, of course we don't believe you. Like, why would we believe you? This story's insane. And then she's like, but look, there's hellfire all around us, right? So as we can see here, apparently in her eyes, everything is on fire. And this cop here is like, just for argument's sake, let's say there is something, an angel or whatever that's after you. What are we mere humans going to be able to do for you? And then she's like, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. You're right. I'm sorry I wasted your time. And then she leaves because he hit her with a little bit of logic. And she was like, well, okay, yeah, you're right. My whole idea fell apart. And then I feel like Jay Lee's story kind of falls apart right there. Like, he's like, maybe there was no reason for her to go running to the police if that's what was going on, right? So now we cut back to Danik Haight, who apparently is at the precinct, but just in the basement, I guess, where they do some of the forensic science. So this doctor is telling him that they found a bullet and that the bullet has hair and blood on it, and could have been from the person that Danik said he shot. Also it had brain matter. Okay, so if they have all the evidence stating that he did shoot somebody in the head, that bullet came from his gun and everything, then why are the other cops treating him as if he's crazy now if they have physical evidence? But anyway, they pulled some blood off of the bullet, and apparently that blood is replicating. And now they have a vial of blood from the little drop of blood that was on this bullet. Okay. I don't think that is pursued any further in this book. I've read all 4 issues. We never come back to that, and I don't know if it had plans for it, to be an ongoing series, if this did well or not. I don't know, but we never come back to this. Okay, so I'm wondering, first of all, if you didn't take the bullet from the church, would that blood have replicated to the point where it produces another Daniel, so that you have 2 Daniels? Is that what happens? Is that what's going to happen here? This is just going to keep on replicating until you have to put it in 5,000 vials, and then those vials come together and form another angel or something? I don't know. Now we're going to cut back to Josh, who is in his bedroom, and it looks like Evan was, opening the curtains or whatever. And Josh is apparently, impressed with the surroundings, but we're not really seeing any surroundings. We're just getting some shadow and silhouette. Evan is just like, oh yeah, used to be when I had a family. I don't have a family now, I guess is what he's saying, right? Like, he's like, see, I never got along much with my parents, especially Dad. Wasn't real big on hugs, He didn't like physical contact. How about your dad, Josh? And Josh is like, my dad would hit me lots. Really? So we're getting the opinion that Josh is Danik's child, and that Danik is a horrible fucking abusive father, and also somehow supposed to be the one of the heroes of the story or something like that. I don't know. We cut back to Isabel on the subway coming home from the police station, and she's still hearing the voices from Jonakin, and Jonakin is just basically repeating that he's in love with her, that it was an attraction that he couldn't fight, that he's done everything he can for their love ever since that day 20 years ago. And she's like, I don't think I can be with you in this state because you don't look like the angel that came to me before. I don't know who you are. I don't trust you. And he's like, you will, don't worry. And she's just like, no, and runs off the thing. Now, again, we're still in this place where it's between heaven and earth, and this angel is still talking to David. So I'm going to read the dialogue here because I feel like that explains best, and plus we're going to finally get, to the title of the book. But it's, know this, Daniel, since the moment of the infernal effrontery that was your birth, your heart of man and soul of an angel have wrestled for control of your earthly vessel. The madness that has oft defined your life is not madness at all. Rather, your body has been in a state of Hellshock, a civil war between both sides of your dual heritage. For reasons that will soon be made clear, heaven has chosen this night to embrace you, at last, as one of our own. Okay, so there you go. He's a Nephilim. He's a half angel, okay, born of a human. It's this angel and human biology that's fighting each other the whole time and causing his madness. The angels could have stopped that at any time, but chose not to. Let him suffer for 20 years. Let him, die and come back to life and never have any answers, be homeless. We don't really have a lot of storyline of what happened to Daniel over this 20-year period. She gave him up for adoption. Was he adopted? What happened here? We don't know, okay? So it's very weird. But we cut back to the church. Isabel has gone to the church. And I'm thinking that she's going there hoping to find, I don't know, maybe some kind of protection, maybe on holy ground. This demon can't get her. She's going basically to pray. And you see here that this cross ignites into this digital flame that I can't, it's so bad. I can't get past it. And of course, Jonakin shows up there. And then we still have him floating in this, purgatory, if you will, and coming to terms with everything that he is and realizing and now being in complete control of his mind and body, finally. Okay, and then he dons this, red cross on his face. That'll be, his mark. Okay, and he's also finally at peace, knowing who he is and being, I guess, blessed by the angels to have the angelic portion of him take control. Okay, so Jonakin here is basically introducing himself to Isabel. He's like, my name is Jonakin, and he's laughing. She's like, why? And he's like, it occurred to me about 12 years ago as some demon was eating my innards that, when we spent the night together, I never told you my name. Isn't that funny? And she's like, well, no, not really. You were kind of raping me or whatever, I guess. I don't know. And then, he's trying to be funny and charming or whatever, but it's not working because of how horrendous he looks, and she's like, you've changed. And he's like, don't say that. I haven't changed. I'm the same guy. I still, am the same person, even if I don't look the same. I just had to endure all this torment for 20 years. And I promised you I'd be back. And now that I'm back, we're going to be together forever. That's the promise. But that the only way they're going to be able to stay together is him taking her back to hell. Because he's going to be collected by whatever demons to go back. So that's what's going on here. He's taking her back to hell so she can be tormented with him for the rest of eternity. And that is when Hellshock appears, okay? And Hellshock is like, we have to talk, Father. And then end of this book, okay? Again, not bad. We got some story beats. We got a lot of information. Again, I feel like the first issue of the of the book was kind of worthless, right? Like, they gave us nothing. It was a bit of an introduction. We only got like maybe 10 pages of artwork. I don't know why it had to be stretched into 4 books. It could have been taken down into 3. But I guess, when you're working without an editor and a writer and everything, that's, how that tends to go. But overall, I'm enjoying it. There's some dialogue issues. There's some story issues. Character issues. Everybody's kind of a piece of shit. Everybody's horrible. Everybody's abusive. Everybody's afraid. Either you're the abuser or the abusee in this book. And, nobody is essentially good here. But we'll see what happens with the last issue of this. But just so you know, in your fucking face, motherfuckers, it's Youngblood, okay? Every month, by the way, in case you didn't know that, fucking Youngblood came out every month. Or 3 times a year, whichever it was, But yeah, it was every month, but not really. As I was going through this cracked me up, okay? Because it's Peter David and John Byrne had absolutely nothing to do with this comic. On the other hand, Eric Larson, Andy Smith, and Randy Elliott did one heck of a job. I gotta say, I think Peter David and John Byrne were having a big problem with Eric Larson, right? Eric Larson was just throwing that shit in their face every chance he got. He was making fun of John Byrne characters in Dragon. We saw those letters that he had in the back of Savage Dragon comics from Peter David and himself fighting each other over the name withheld letter. And I might get into that one at some point. I know that Rob Norton already had done it. But I wanted to talk about it too because I remember reading those letters so much back in the day. But guys, I want to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please hit like. If you'd like to see more of this type of stuff, please hit subscribe. It helps my channel grow. And I'm a comic book artist who's trying to get his name out there. Again, thanks for watching. Till next time.